People thought she was angry. They were wrong. She wasn't raising her voice. She wasn't arguing. She wasn't even explaining herself anymore. She was calm, and that calm made people uncomfortable because it didn't come from understanding. It came from exhaustion, the kind that builds slowly after years of trying to be heard and realizing how often effort goes unnoticed. Being done doesn't mean you hate someone. It means you've accepted reality. You stop negotiating. Stop hoping. Stop explaining the same pain in different words. You stop waiting for people to suddenly understand what they've been shown many times before. And in that acceptance, there is quiet relief. To people used to her effort, her calm felt like punishment. They mistook boundaries for resentment, silence for hostility, but she wasn't angry. Anger still hopes something will change. She was done investing where nothing ever did, and that difference mattered more than anyone realized. She didn't make an announcement. She didn't plan a moment to draw a line. She simply stopped trying to be understood by people who had already decided not to listen. Not out of anger, not out of spite, but out of clarity. The kind that arrives quietly, once excuses no longer make sense. Eventually, she noticed something she couldn't ignore. No matter how calmly she spoke, the outcome stayed the same. No matter how carefully she explained, she was still unheard, still expected to adapt. And that's when something shifted. Not emotionally, but energetically. The effort stopped feeling worth repeating. What wore her down wasn't one big thing. It was repetition, being interrupted, being overlooked, being expected to adjust. Each moment felt manageable on its own, easy to excuse, easy to move past. But together, they formed a pattern, one that quietly taught her how little space she was expected to take. For a long time, she was patient. She listened carefully. She explained herself gently. She gave people the benefit of the doubt again and again. When she felt disappointed, she minimized it. When she felt hurt, she justified it. She believed understanding was strength, and for a while it truly was. They called it bitterness, coldness, distance. Some said she had changed, others said she was holding grudges. But none of them asked what had stayed the same for too long. They noticed her withdrawal, but not the years that led to it. It was easier to label her silence than to question the pattern that created it. There was no single moment that caused it. No final argument, no dramatic goodbye. Just a small change people noticed too late. She stopped responding the way she used to, stopped softening her words, stopped filling silence for others. When someone asked what was wrong, she didn't rush to explain. And for the first time, she didn't feel guilty for that. People thought she was angry. They were wrong. She wasn't raising her voice. She wasn't arguing. She wasn't even explaining herself anymore. She was calm, and that calm made people uncomfortable because it didn't come from understanding. It came from exhaustion, the kind that builds slowly after years of trying to be heard and realizing how often effort goes unnoticed.